Cancer.
Today's topic on the card is today's youth culture now violent? I'm going to start off with the kind of main epidemic that's happening in London, knife crime. Do you guys think that knife crime is sort of specific to youth? Is it part of youth culture? Has it become normalised? What are everyone's thoughts?
I think there's always been violence amongst the youth anyway, regardless, but now if you've got your ear to the street, a gun is a lot more expensive than it was 15, 20 years ago.
Yeah.
Where you could get a gun for £600, £800. Now, I don't know how much they're, about 3-4 grand for something. So
yeah,
the cheaper option now, so to speak, is knives, and these Rambos, they can get shipped in from Hong Kong or wherever, Amazon next day delivery, and that's it. And obviously you've got your social media now, which is just glamorizing every little bit of beef on the road action. You've got meme pages dedicated to this stuff.
So then would you say there's a link between social media and people carrying knives? Is it something that's glamorized on media? Is it glamorized through music? What do you guys think?
I think you can take away social media, you still have knife crime.
Exactly, yeah.
And music.
Exactly.
Will always be a thing.
I think what people forget is, okay, when we hear knife crime, we think of youth, but knife crime doesn't necessarily just mean youth culture. If you look at statistics, knife crime could just be, I'm walking down the street, I have a psychotic break, and I stab someone. That's still knife crime, but I'm not in the gang. So I think the media has done a very good job to correlate knife crime and youth culture, but it's not always the case.
So do you think maybe they've done that deliberately to initiate certain policies? Like I know back in the day they introduced, like in 2011, ending gang youth strategy. That was in response to the London riots. They kind of, I suppose, amplified that as something that was specific to black youth culture.
Regardless of race, they're all seen as delinquents. But then the media will take certain stuff like knife crime and put it to a certain race of youth in order to portray that picture. And I think it's such a negative light, but they know what they're doing. And it's now that we have our own podcast like you, that we can put our own outlet and show them this isn't the case. Like we can look at statistics, we can look at cases, you can speak about your own cases and show them this is, like you said, I could have been psychotic, but they put me in a category because I'm a youth and of my colour, I'm this person.
Exactly.
So
it's funny that what you said earlier was that if there was no social media and there was no music, there would still be knife crime. Because these are the sort of things, knife crime ain't just happening now. It probably happened since the Romans. They were carrying daggers and stuff like that.
Exactly,
But I think how social media has played a big part now is because how quickly word spreads. We could have had a fight, she beats me up, and no one's heard about it except for the local people in the area. But now because of social media, someone's filmed it, and now it's gone viral, and everyone can see, oh my God, she beat up Bobby, so I can't take that. My pride and ego can't take that, because everyone's commenting, oh my God, she beat him up and scanning everywhere, so now I must retaliate. And once you retaliate, that's your point scored. Now they have to retaliate, and I think it's actually blown up more.
But isn't that social media that amplifies
that? Basically,
and it's like the case on the aeroplane where the two rappers were both on it, and just because they're there at the same time, obviously I haven't looked into the history of what their history is, but because they're there at the same time, something has to happen because it's in the public eye and everyone knows them. If no one had their cameras out, would it have happened? Like, we don't know, we weren't there. So it's a kind of a case of is it a good thing that we have control of media now? Or is it something where we're letting out too much and then potentially convicting people of stuff that shouldn't be convicted, and it goes on from that point.
So I suppose the question is, with young people, is it the case that, like we mentioned things like knife crime, drill, is it the case that because we've got less access to guns, knife crime is more prevalent amongst young people because they're not necessarily at that rational stage to say, do you know what, I don't actually need to stab this person to deal with it? Because people grow out of it. You see it in music, you see it in the difference between, like, I'll give you an example. I know some people may not know, Lowski's new album, I think it's called like a drill trauma story, something like that. Compared to his old music, if you listen to him when he first kind of came onto the scene, he was happily kind of, I say, glorifying, I used to carry this, I'm doing this, da 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 da. Now in his new sort of album, he's completely got a different tone. He's come out of prison. He had quite a case that was sort of in the media, and he's saying, listen kids, what I was saying before, void that. Everything I'm talking about is a lie. He interviewed with.
I think he's being quite intelligent as well in that in the marketing ploy, because I'm not sure if he's still got a case pending. So with the case pending, judge, look, I'm outside and I'm helping the kids now. You know what I was talking about earlier wasn't. This is what I'm all about. It's only music. And that could be the truth as well. But for me, if you are going to develop an artist, he is actually doing the right transition, because you can't be a drill rapper all your life talking about certain things, and if you want to sort of get to the next sphere of becoming a big megastar, you have to transition and make yourself a little bit more pop, not so much pop, but a bit more accessible in regards to the tone that you use. So
do you think that this was sort of more so for the youth for him to do, or to suit his own agenda, or is it the case that he's kind of observing that, you know what, I realise now this isn't worth it, I'm sorry guys, I had to put this in my music, and kind of, because music is something that we kind of internalise, it helps people put them in a good mood. So jazz music.
It'll take a lot for him to start writing down lyrics of that transition.
Yeah.
It must come from the heart a little bit, no?
Yeah.
A little bit.
I say both.
Yeah, I don't know.
When you're in prison and you're seeing people there doing 30 years, they're not coming out. They're calling themselves coffins. Do you know what I mean?
And also, two of his friends were also killed while he was in prison as well.
Do you see what I mean? So you're going to see that these things will make you.
So do you think it's the trauma that's happened as a result of kind of the violence associated with youth that are making people kind of transition to that change and say, do you know what, guys, I'm going to give you positive drill music now, because people don't associate positivity with drill. Yeah, sure it's always seen as kind of as quite negative.
Then there's also the fact that he's got an opportunity to get out of the place he's in through his music.
His trial or
through his music,
or get out of his position, because
to get out of his the life he was living through the music. Yeah. So if he hadn't had the music, would he have just gone back to the roads? Do you know what I mean?
Then again, shouldn't you then put out more positive things for the youth to listen to? Because I've sat on the train and really seen kids with their headphones, or even playing the song out loud, and they're deep in it. They're going like this, and they're really internalising the music. And I'm looking at that kid, and I'm like,
because it resonates with them.
Yeah.
What does it resonate, or is it that they're believing it? Like, do you know what? This is cool.
Music sells. Music is there to sell.
I listen to drill music and feel bad. I'm not bad.
These artists are there to make money at the end of the day. Yeah, like what anyone says, regardless whether it's the truth, whether it's a lie, whether they've lived it, whether they haven't. And if you want to talk about Lowski in particular, he himself said he said a lie in a lot of it. Maybe telling the truth, maybe not. At the end of the day, he wants to make money.
I mean, look at it this way, yeah. For all the drill rappers who talk about all the drillings they do, the murder rate doesn't add up. So definitely, they're not all doing what they're supposed to be doing.
Exactly.
And
kids are not going to know that,
and
though.
you have to sort of fictionalize things a little bit. Yeah, kids may not know that, but and you're right in regard to music, does give you a sort of feeling. I used to talk about Young Jeezy's album, Thug Motivation 101. When I used to go do my criminality, that album had to be playing in a car. Not that saying Young Jeezy made me do it, but it gave me that.
So
that's normal throughout every culture. You've got a theme, haven't you? Do you know what I mean? But
even at the gym, when you go to the gym, you play certain songs that pump you up in the gym.
So that doesn't indicate that music.
There's no in between realistically, because a child can listen to music at any age. It depends what they listen to, because it's just like playing video games and watching films. Exactly. There are so many aspects and outlets that are showing kids so many negative things, and it's up to that child. Obviously, a child can't always think fully for themselves, but we've all adapted to adults that we are now. Some of us have been in situations that we never wanted to be. Some of us haven't experienced the situations. So it's kind of, music is there to sell, just like a film is, just like a video game is, just like anything that is there to make money.
You're selling your lyrics then? Are you then selling those negative lyrics to kids?
Yes. They are, because they're making the money.
The kids are believing it and thinking it's real.
They're not all believing it.
It's the same as GTA.
Exactly.
People were saying GTA was making people go out and, get video games don't make people go and steal cars.
So do you think that it's been drill music has been used as some kind of scapegoat to say? Because I think in 2018 the Met Police, like, they petitioned for a lot of drill videos to be taken off the internet, and now what's happening is drill music is being used as evidence in court, and it's standing.
You know, it just makes me think, what was the British Empire doing? Like when they was colonising half the world with stabbings and swords and guns, what were they listening to?
Do you know what it is as well?
Just instrumental.
Do you know what it is, You know, with drill music, right? I think why it's so much different is the disrespect that comes with it. Because whereas, of course, we had Tupac, you hit him up and so on, and that was very disrespectful, and people didn't do their rap songs and that. With drill, it's like we're saying we're smoking on dead people's ashes, whatever it is, and you're saying we've done this to you, done to you. So it's so disrespectful, especially if you had a friend that you grew up with from a kid, and someone's talking about, oh yeah, we killed him and we done this. that's going to affect you.
Yeah.
That's going to affect you. So I say that's the main difference.
And the other thing is they glamorise something, a drilling or a stabbing, should I say, that happened like 3 years ago. They're still speaking about it and writing lyrics about it today. Do you know what I mean? So they glorify it.
I think music is there to express.
Yeah,
and I get that it can be so negative. Yeah. But I listen to Beyonce and her heartbreaks, and I'm like, that's what I'm feeling at that moment. But then I can put a drill song on, and I haven't experienced it, but I can still feel the rage and the anger they've put into their lyrics. So I think music is there to be expressive, and we can't stop artists from expressing themselves.
No, 100%.
Freedom of speech.
Exactly, and we have to let them have it. Obviously, it's up to them how they want to portray it, because again, like you said, they can be called back for that.
But we can't ignore the fact that it's solely negative lyrics. Like I was listening to something
guns
earlier.
or knives are responsible of killing people. It's not the knife, it's not the gun.
It's the person. But then where does that mindset come from? Is it then coming from music? Because you see young people who are like,
I think it's...
They come from
music, I mean, we can't get away from it. Yeah, music does influence. It does influence. It doesn't make you go and do something, but it does influence. It doesn't make you feel a certain way. You hear a love song, you might feel...
When you're going to go ride out, you're going to think, what am I going to ride out to? Yeah, let me feel
that
tune. That's going to get me amped up a little bit.
Youth culture violent then?
But
that's the question.
I think
they were already going there before they played that music.
Yeah, but then what's the... I
think music is one factor of many.
Yeah.
So we're talking about poverty. We're talking about, let's be honest, jealousy as well, inequality, lack of opportunities, and then you have music, and then you have violent films, and then you have violent games, and then you have your street cred as well, because
ego,
pride.
The biggest killer.
It's not just music.
But have young people developed an ego enough to be like, I'm gonna kill a man because he said this on social media and I feel so embarrassed.
It's pride. I mean,
all your friends are talking about this video that they just see.
Yeah.
Social media, drill music, in my opinion, you guys may disagree, has incited a lot of violence in some way, or I suppose provoked it or encouraged it.
Yeah, I think it's provoked.
Okay,
it's added food to the fire. And what I'll say is that we all go through it, and you have to learn, because I get trolled. I get people writing in my comments, this, that. You have to think, just take a breath.
Send me location.
And that's because of maturity. Like if you're comparing yourself to an 18-year-old, if someone says something disrespectful to them, they're gonna feel like, no, I can't take this. I have to retaliate. Whereas compared to a 35-year-old man, you have time to process. You're like, I've got shit to lose. I've got a job. I've got this.
Because it's all the topics that, remember when we were younger, there's certain things people was taboo. Oh, that I don't do this, I don't do that, right? As you get older, people tend to do those sort of things anyway. And but when you're young, everyone's gossiping and talking about these certain things. So it's that when you're young and someone's violating you, you're like, no, there's nothing. No one can tell you that's gonna make you stop. So you have to understand it comes through growth. What you're seeing, a lot of people now come out of prison like myself, think, oh my god, I didn't even have to go to prison. So what can I tell these youths? But some of these youths, it goes through one ear and the other, because they won't understand it until they feel the consequences.
So I suppose what message are we giving to the youth then?
What's the solution?
What's the solution? Is it the case that drill music needs to be something that's audited, for example, to say, do you know what, we don't need to have that in it? Has knife crime, has youth violence got nothing to do with music?
I'll say definitely opportunity. For example now, I'm managing triplets. They're three brothers out in East London. Their older brother was killed maybe 10 years ago. And their mum's overly protective over them. Their older brother is actually an artist himself. And she reached out and she said, oh look, I've got my two boys that want to do rapping. I'm like, oh, two, I'm going to come and see the twins. And I've gone there, there's three of them. I'm like, oh, triplets, even better. And then I said, what's your lyrics? And because they're such good kids, they don't talk nothing about knife crime, just talk about just like being cool and being wavy. And I said, you know, I told mum, you know, let's go with that angle. So I'm trying to push that narrative that you can have the same drill beats, add a bit of melodic harmony to it, and you got the same drill beats, but it's also give these youths a chance, because what is controversy sells, sex sells, crime sells, gun sells, and so on. So it's like we want to hear that, but why don't we praise the kid that's rapping about being at college and going to school and
but then that's about the culture then. The culture is more of a collective thing. If one person, you might have a small they call it like a subculture, who will listen to drill music and do the drillings that they're hearing, and there's some who be like, you know what, I just like the beat. If I listen to drill,
they don't listen to the lyrics.
I listen to the beat.
No, I listen to the lyrics.
I might have someone who say to me, Sinead, are you deep in what they're saying? Are you really? I'm like, no, I like the beat. This is wicked. Like I feel like I could jump in the car with you, but I'll sit in the back seat and just get out. That kind of thing. But for me, it's like, me as a woman, why am I thinking like that? It is the music. If I can internalise it, I'm imagining what they're saying in the lyrics. Like I was listening to something the other day, I'll play it to you guys. And I was like, if I heard this and I was a young person, I'm not saying every young person doesn't have all their morals aligned and isn't rational, but majority of the time you're not rationally thinking. Your brethren said to you like, oh my gosh, did you hear what you said about your mum in this song? Like, what are you going to do about it? Okay, I mean, so what are you going to do about it?
I'm 34, right? And Abracadabra's song, what is it? What's the Abracadabra song? When he goes, yo, spin this coupe, I just see something, and he goes, and that ad-lib there made me go crazy. I'm like, oh, pull that song back. And it just, it makes you go crazy, that song. So I think the feds
but in a violent sense or in a...
More of a hype, but I can understand now. So I can understand now though why it will get a young kid gassed and hype for him to. Because if I'm 34 and I'm mature and it's making me jump up and down the room, and like, so they pull it up again. Imagine these young people and their mentality, their brains are so great.
It's like
gonna make them
They absorb. They do nothing but absorbing that information. Let me play you guys something. I'm gonna play a few seconds of it and let me know what you think. And then we can come to some kind of agreement. Is drill inciting violence? Is it an expression for young people? Is it the, I suppose, the music of youth culture? And if that's the case, can, I suppose, positive drill then share a similar message?
Of course it can.
Let me play this to you guys.
If I ever see Grinner's mum, I'm due to just spit in her face. Same way if I find where he's resting, I'm gonna go piss on his grave. What's got...
I'm not gonna lie, that's fact talk. That is fact talk.
Is that life talk?
No, it's fact talk.
It's fact talk.
But it's not necessarily...
He's talking about a dead person here.
I think for
I'm
him...
all for freedom of
speech. Think about this.
Freedom of speech is not saying you're going to go wet yourself on someone's grave. That's not...
No, hang on. Technically, it is still freedom of speech.
He's going to spit in someone's face.
Technically, it is. However, you know exactly what you're doing. You know you're enticing. You know you're causing a rage. His mum listened to that. His dad listened to that. His brother and his friends listened to that. Goes, oh, this guy is really violating. So when they see him, they say, "I'm gonna make your mum feel this way. I'm gonna make." So then becomes that. And when we all talk about people, oh, can we bring peace? Can we peace? Then like, people are like, no, how can we ever have peace after they say what they said?
Yeah, because that's your pride and your honour.
Do we know what happened?
No. I don't know.
We don't know what happened. We don't know who.
Did you go spit in that person's face and did you go pee on his grave? Because then that is then inciting more violence. You're using then drill as an expression of real life. You want to go do this to someone.
So that,
you want to go spit in that person's face.
Violence.
But I just think it's
drill
a
music
snippet.
does that.
I think drill's a snippet of real life.
They had to take a lot of this music off YouTube.
He's made a reference due to something that's happened. We don't know what
we don't know that he's making a reference to you, or he's inciting something, saying, "Do you know what? I haven't heard from you in a while. You know, I'm gonna antagonise you.
It could also be
I'm spitting in your mum's face.
It also could be just someone wanting to become on a come up, right?
And just saying it.
You're not known. You think I need to make a name for myself? Alright, cool. We don't like that gang over there.
Yeah.
Let me say that people are gonna hear this. Everyone's gonna go on Google me and search me, and now I get a buzz, and now I can go into. Some people use strategy to get into the music industry, so that could just be a strategy as well. So we don't know who it is and why.
But we don't know who it is, so they haven't got that far in the music industry.
Someone could be sitting there going, what's he saying about my man's mum? Let's go ride on him.
Well, there he is, do you know what I mean? Tinseltown.
But that's why they all wear masks now as well. That's why sometimes I say to myself, like, if you're really about that life,
show your face.
Wait. They'll be like, because of the police and so on. But back in our day, everyone knew who everyone was.
Yeah, that was it, yeah.
Do you think in a way that some of the things that young people are doing, some of the crimes and the violence that's happening, should we in some ways sympathise with young people who are in some ways still learning themselves, still learning the people around them? People are getting 21-year sentences at the age of 18. You haven't even reached 21 years old. Should we then sympathise?
I don't necessarily think sympathise. Maybe you could empathise.
100 difference.
Because
but empathise in what sense? Is in
it depends what sort of background they came from. Yeah, it depends. And it depends
at the end of the day, anyone can listen to it. But if that one person chose to do it, that's their decision. So at the end of the day, on the level of the severity of what they've done, there's sometimes when you can't sympathise. Just because they've listened to something does not give them a reason to go and do something.
Get out of jail card.
Exactly, it never will to this day. So if you want to listen to something, it's okay, baby. If you want to listen to something and then go act on it, that's you. Always will be, regardless of your age. Under 18, over 18, it's on you.
Think about it culturally. Culture is something is shared. Culture is not sometimes to the individual. If I'm saying youth culture generally, another young person is going to see what that young person's doing, and it's going to kind of be that knock-on effect. No one wants to kind of be on their own, hence I say it's a youth culture. You remember when you started year 7, you kind of wanted to know which group am I going to be in? Am I going to be with the nerds? Am I going to be with the naughty ones who get detention every day?
But you know how you mention groups, I think like what we have to remember is that we're speaking about a certain type of youth, because all these people that are in prison because of their drill music, they're probably most likely about that life. So is drill music really converting your average, I don't know, Harry that lives in Wimbledon?
And that's the thing. And that's the thing as well. Harry in Wimbledon is
goes to Lowski's concerts.
Yeah, he goes to Lowski's concert. And what also, he's on the keyboard saying, "Oh, Tion Wayne, oh, you're not gonna do nothing to Heady One. Heady One, you're not doing nothing to Tion Wayne," and sit back and laugh at everything when everything's happening. And when these things happen, "Oh, Tion Wayne, you're so stupid. Why are you in jail?"
So who's really inciting the violence? Is it the music or is it the trolls that come afterwards?
It's all
culture in general.
It's the culture. Hence, I said youth culture. You've got us in the comments like, if I see Grinner's mum, someone's like, "Did you see Grinner's mum?" Someone's gonna be inciting that, amplifying it collectively. Because again, there is that huge social media presence for young people. When you see young people now, are they in books or are they in their phone kind of like?
They don't. A lot of them don't want to actually go out and do these things. They don't.
Well, some of them don't realise the consequences.
Yeah, they don't realise it. They don't see
organically.
They don't
you
see
end up doing it.
All you then become is a name in someone's bio, free this person, free that person, but that person's not giving you money when you're in jail. That person's not checking on your mum.
You no canteen, nothing.
And I think that it's important then for you to understand that there are consequences to things like this. Yes, you see it in social media. Yes, you kind of hear it in the music, but are you really seriously understanding the effects it has? So do you think perhaps maybe in schools for young people that they need to be educated a little bit more on kind of?
I think there needs to be more strategics in the school, because that's where it starts. You get set 8, set 7, and it's the same sort of like, you see what I'm saying? It's the same sort of people.
Areas, demographics.
You know, it also comes down to opportunities at the end of the day. I say this, right? So we run our football club, right? So we know we run sessions 3 days a week at this time. So it could be the biggest gangster in the area, the local kid who's just bad. But for 6 hours a week, he stops being bad to come play football. So that shows there's something that distracts him from being bad. So now can we amplify that? Can we give him maybe 8 hours of football, 10 hours of football, which now he has to reduce the amount of crime he does because he's doing more football stuff. And while they're at the football, what else do you want to do? What would you like to do? Are you going to be an architect? You know someone, so it's about provide him, because we can't just tell kids, stop being bad, stop being bad, stop being bad. Okay, what should I do then? And then you can't give them any alternatives to do.
So that's what you're saying is we as a community have to provide that, because
really
no one else ain't giving that to the kids.
100%. Money needs to be put into it wherever it comes from. And I think us sitting here, if we can do something about it, we should do something about it. If we hear about someone doing it, what's stopping us from going and helping?
It's our responsibility.
Do you think it's maybe the older people's generation, or people who are have a little bit more wisdom? It's their duty or their responsibility to ensure that the young people really understand what they're getting themselves into. Because I've worked with young people, and they genuinely have this consensus that, like, you don't know what you're talking about. You're older, you don't understand this. And it's like, hold on, I understand that the perspective. Your foresight right now is only from between here to there. But me, being a little bit older, my foresight's from here to the end of there. So getting young people to kind of understand, and I think in the work that I do now with some of the young people, is getting them to understand that the decisions you make today can affect you tomorrow. Some of them are happy to kind of...
Yeah, but everybody knows. Like,
I don't think some people know.
Everybody knows to better themselves. You've got to learn.
You've
got to pick up a book. You've got to go do a course. You've got to go and do something. Everybody knows that's how you progress in life. Everybody knows it.
The books are
and the thing is not, and there's also no excuses to the point that I say this, right? Everybody's got Instagram. Everybody's got YouTube. So they know they know. Oh, what's his name? Done this crime, he's got 20. For example, they all listen to Joe. They know SJ got 21 years. They all know this. They know. A lot of them who actually watch my YouTube channel, when they'll message me, "Oh, Bobby, I'm trying to leave, but it's hard," because they know the consequences that come with it. But yet through life, there's peer pressure, through life circumstances, they can't stop selling drugs because there's no alternative. They can't stop because they might want. There's one guy who told me, "Look, I want to stop this," but the other guys from the other ends, when they see me, they'll always be on me. So sometimes there's no escape from some of them.
So yeah, that sounds like a bit like duress. Do you know what I mean? Like you can't come out of that circle. But if you're not in that circle where you're not being forced to do it, there's definitely alternatives.
I say it's hard to say. You can't give up on any child, right? You have to keep working as hard as you can on it with every child. But I say the work now starts with the ones who are in year 3, year 4, year 5, year 6. Start implementing these things into them that early, because we all become, our eyes all open in year 7. In year 6 we're all innocent. We don't know nothing about the world. We're watching Power Rangers and so on. As soon as we get to year 7, we're now in the big world where we're mixing with the year 11s who are doing all these things, and then someone makes you you're younger. But if before they get into that year 7 stage, from year 3 we're sort of instilling those disciplines into them, that can also help. Yeah, so what I was saying, I think intervention needs to start earlier, so from kids age 6, 7, 8, 9, and so on, when they're still in primary school, because one thing people don't really talk about is the aspect of bullying that goes on when you're laughing at a child because they ain't got the latest jacket, ain't got the latest trainers. That sort of mentality can push them to go and do things. If an older guy say, look, you ain't got the trainers, here's a bag of weed, go and sell that for me. That pushes them into that lifestyle as well. It's about having early intervention where you keep talking about the risk and also telling the other kids to stop the bullying, because I know firsthand, I had my brother's hand-me-downs and so on, just to make sure that I was cool and so on. But there was kids that we used to all take the piss out of, because we was like, oh, look at these kicks, look at these that, oh, this guy smells. But you don't know, by you doing that, the impact it has on those children, and when they become sort of young teenagers, they completely turn. So yeah.
So do you mean to say that maybe intervention's more important to happen in school than it is at home, or does it start off with parenting? Is it the case that you need to have people who have lived experiences of violence or prison or things like that to come in and kind of share to the youth that, hold on, I'm someone who's done 20 years and I can tell you that these are the things that happen, because people don't know the actual lived realities of what happens when you go to prison. The media, YouTube, things that they see on TV, whether it's films, glamorise what prison's like, or social media itself. We've all seen those kind of social media clips that kind of come from prison. You're like, how'd they get a phone? And you're saying to these young people, you'll be surprised, it's prison, you can get anything. So maybe in having people in schools discussing to young people, is that what you're kind of suggesting, that intervene quite early? I
mean, yeah, in schools, but also I guess the parents as well. I think if the schools, they say your left hand should know what your right hand's doing, right? So if you've got that, this is the parents, this is the teachers and the parents should have some form of conference where it's not just parents' evening, but where it's more like, okay, we're gonna have a tuition course together where we're both learning. So if they get someone like myself or someone else that works in probation or a police officer that comes in and teaches the teachers and the parents at the same time, look at the consequences, these are the things you need to look out for. Is he coming home late? Has he got something new that you shouldn't have, that you didn't buy for him? Has his attitude changed? What time are they going to bed? What time are they coming back home from school? These sort of things are the signs that parents need to start looking at, and ultimately none of our parents teach us bad, right? So a lot of the things that we learn is through our friends, and I say peer pressure is the biggest influence on any child, more so than the parents. Our parents told us come home at 6 p.m. It's 5 to 6, and then your friends are, nah, I'm gonna stay out, and then you end up following what your friends have done instead of what your parents have told you to do. So it's very quickly we can disobey our parents, but it's about parents trying to understand and also teachers trying to understand, and more people going, maybe what's that thing they do in America? Is it Straight Scared? I'm not sure.
Oh, Scared Straight, where they have the young people go in and have them.
I was just about to touch on. I was just about to say it's a community effort. If you want to raise a community, you can't just say it's the parents alone. It's the school leaders in the schools, the ones in the prisons, the council. There needs to be more intervention like what they do in America, but the teachers and the parents are going to be the first ones to identify, you know, my kid's coming off the rails, he's coming on smelling of weed, or he's got flash trainers, what's really going on, he's disobeying me. And then there needs to be some kind of support where you can like phone up and say, look, here it is, and this is the line we're going to go down now, similar to what you're saying about in America, because that's like, they've just glamorized that for a bloody program. That should actually be part of our society. Do you see what I mean? It should be part of a community that, you know, okay, you don't really want to go and see what Bad Boy is. Go down there and see he's been here 20 years. Ask him what, do you know what I mean? Ask him what McDonald's tastes like, anything.
When was the last letter you got? Because what they seem to think and forget about is that sometimes when you go to prison, you're forgotten about. Life for people who are on the outside is moving forward, but yours is on that standstill. You went to prison, for example, at 15. When you come out, you're still sort of 15. It's the visits that you're getting, you're seeing new £1 coins, and it's me kind of explaining this sometimes to the young people that I work with, that do you want to be fascinated in like 5 years' time that there's a £5 note that's green, for example, or that's purple. And it's kind of letting them know the little things that matter, what you're going to actually miss. And I think sometimes parents as well, because life is so fast paced, people need to go out and get what they need to get. They're kind of oblivious to, hold on, my son said he wants Jordans and he wants this and he wants a night tracksuit. He didn't really want night tracksuits. These are the kind of things you're not really, I think, paying attention to, because you think it's minor because of the difference in generation. And I think the main thing is giving young people the skills to kind of equip themselves in society, in terms of go the kind of straight and narrow way. These are the opportunities. Is it the case that young people need a little bit more opportunities other than
also,
going to university, doing the textbook way.
And and also just in regards to opportunities, there's after school clubs and courses and so on, be it taekwondo, be it badminton, table tennis, all these things are there. Yes, they're at a cost, but sometimes I think parents make excuses. Oh no, we can't afford it. But are you buying cigarettes every single month? Are you buying alcohol every single month that you can sort of reduce? By you reducing that, can you actually use those fees to pay for your child to go somewhere? So those are the things that also have to be looked at.
I'm going to play devil's advocate because I do understand it's definitely parents' responsibility, but you do have those families where they're really struggling to make ends meet. And the responsibility falls on the young person. There are young people that literally sell drugs because they're trying to keep their lights on, they're trying to keep the heaters on. Their parents might be facing drug addiction or alcohol addiction, or they might be terminally ill where that young person is now their caretaker or taking care of their younger siblings. So yes, we can say the parent might need to cut. I definitely agree with you on that, because some parents take the piss. But what do we do with those young people where they're literally holding a responsibility that a 35-year-old might have and a 15-year-old?
I definitely agree with that, and but I'll be honest with you, I'll say it's a rarity. You hear rappers say it in their lyrics all the time. I hear different people say, "Oh, I was doing it because mum, I had to help mum. I was paying mum." When you ask mum how much she's giving you, didn't give me nothing. You didn't give me nothing. You went and bought Giuseppe's, you went and bought Margiela's. So a lot of it is to stunt, is to go and be flashy. So a lot of time when they do say that, it's that it's just an excuse. It sounds good, like, you know what, it sounds like a Robin Hood based.
Come out
like
something, make something.
But majority, if there's 100 kids selling drugs, maybe 3 of them are the ones that was helping their parents. 97 of them are there to actually stunt and make money and try to flash. That's what it is, I'll be honest.
And I think that's when social media comes into play, because that's why they're doing it, because social media just glamorized everything.
So do you think, I know Sean mentioned earlier that it takes a community to raise a youth, essentially.
And an African proverb, innit? It takes a village to raise a child.
So do you think that maybe in schools a lot more needs to be done? Because what I observe is that specifically with young black boys in school, they're very quick to be excluded from school. They're 6 times more likely to be excluded than their white counterpart, for example. There is that kind of perceived behavioural difficulty. So before you even stepped into year 7, you sometimes have these corporate teachers that come in and say, do you know what, I can see you're going to be a problem. Sorry, I don't mean to point at you specifically.
That's what I was talking about.
I can see you're going to be a problem.
Put me in that class already,
and then there's that prison pipeline.
That's what I said.
That's out of school,
and
that's it. But it's happening and it's embedded within, I think, in some ways, the school curriculum, and then youth culture.
Strategics of in school, being in a set. You're labelled from young, you lot are the dumbasses. Do you know what I mean? You're set A. Do you know what I mean?
But then set is, if someone is a bit better at maths, there needs to be some sort of hierarchy, because then slow learners could be in another set. The ones that are achieving a bit better, maybe separate them. Because in later life, they are going to be separated, and they need to realise, we are going to be separated in the efforts we put in.
But the stigma comes with it, innit? And they sort of learn to accept that, we're not going nowhere, we're the dumbest in our year. Like,
but I think that's where opportunity comes in, because you might be bad at math, but you might be really good at art. So why don't we push that person in art?
That's
find other courses,
innit? So the schools need to come up with better plans, and you know.
But we say this, but where's the money coming from? Where's the
there's no funding. To be fair,
people love to say
that's it.
People love to say we should be teaching finance and we should be teaching people
financial literacy.
And I'm like, but where are you finding these teachers from? And do you think those people want to be only earning 34 grand a year when they could be earning 100k in the city? Like, where's this time and money coming from?
I do think the teachers need a rise.
Yeah, they do.
That's
a whole other.
Yeah, of course.
I suppose they do, but
I mean,
because they'll do a better job.
We're asking where's this money being found, but they tend to find money to give themselves 3,000k pay rises. They got all these things that happen. I mean, I see a statistic today, something like 349 billion being spent on COVID. Who's getting these contracts?
True.
Who's getting these contracts? And it's all sort of under the water in regards to who's actually. And it's all sort of their own friends and so on. So where's this money all going? I mean, they didn't want to even give kids free school meals during the holidays.
Yeah.
Come on. So whenever we can say where's this money being found, money can always be found.
It's there. The money's always there.
Yeah. I suppose if we could sum up, essentially, what do the youth today need to be able to get to where they need to? Is it the case that we need more help from the government, or is it something that needs to happen within the community? And we need to kind of come together, have mentors,
We don't need 30 children in a classroom, that's just a no, but you need 15 max.
Okay, so do you think people need more kind of individualised learning and one-to-one? What do you want to be in your life? What do you want to do? And more of a kind of a teacher/mentoring role within the curriculum?
Mentoring, definitely. There needs to be mentoring.
Yeah.
Mentoring and therapy.
Okay.
Yeah.
Therapy is like a luxury because it costs like an arm and a leg just to go to one session. But it shouldn't be. Exactly, it's a necessity.
It's a necessity. You see what I mean?
Society
that's your mental health.
Luxury.
You know, people. You get to this age now, 30s and whatnot. People start going therapy because they realise I need to take care of my mental health now.
Yeah.
And this is what I need to do. Let me go and check up on what people might be saying about me, if I'm a narcissist, if I'm this, if I'm that, or do you see what I'm saying?
So would you say that youth culture, I suppose, is kind of the way it is now, it's come organically? Generations before it was worse, but this is just a repeat of history in sequence.
History always repeats itself, it's just there's more eyes on it now, technology has developed further, so we can scrutinise it a bit more to see what's actually going on, whereas before, like I said, we hear about these things, but now we're actually starting to see killings.
Everyone's got a camera, everyone's recording, no one's helping, everyone's got their phone out, their Snapchat.
So have we normalised in that sense violence, and do you think that youth today are a little bit desensitised to seeing that someone has been stabbed and killed, or social media, this has happened on social media, and that's
they laugh about it, which is just crazy. They laugh about it. I mean, there's Zone 2 guys who made the song that was banned, but they done it in a sense because they knew it was going to get banned, but they knew they would go viral by that, where they say some of the most disrespectful things about people that are being killed. So it's like, me personally, if I had killed someone, I'd feel bad about it. I wouldn't be able to sleep out. The last thing I'll do is make a song about it, but they've become so desensitized to it that they can actually make songs actually laugh about it, which is crazy.
And they don't fear prison. Like a lot of young people don't.
You lot say this, but once they're in jail, I'm telling you, 50% is in healthcare. Don't say they don't fear prison.
They fear prison. They are on suicide watch. And I explain that to the young people.
Maybe they don't fear going because
they are fearing it.
I'm telling you.
I'd not believe that the kids.
I've got a few lifers that call me up every now and then, and I can just hear it in their voice.
They start to lose themselves.
The issue is, there's no rehabilitation in prison. It's a networking event. That's all it is. It's a, do you know what I mean? It's an occupational hazard.
That's so do you think young people were aware of that quite early on? Like, you know what? I'll go to jail, come out.
They become better criminals in jail as well. You put them in prison, you kick them out of mainstream. They're going.
I know people that went to prison to make money.
Or they're drug users plug in.
To be fair, I made more money in prison.
What prison was you in?
I went to so many. It was in Highdown, Belmarsh, Brixton, Thameside, everywhere basically. And sometimes you actually make more money in prison than you do outside.
But can I ask, what made you still want to make money when you was in prison?
Nothing else to do.
I think I've always had that entrepreneurial spirit. I also knew that police are taking all my money. I'm inside, no one's sending me any money. I'm not gonna sit there asking people things. You got your fat canteen, you got all your noodles. So I decided, you know what, I'm gonna open up a casino. I'm gonna open up a betting shop.
But then I suppose the question is, that transition to you, I suppose, living a life of criminality to end up in prison, did it start off with you as a youth in having a specific mindset? Was there a transition, or when was the turning point to be able to kind of tell the young people, hold on, this was my turning point. My dad walked out, for example. I joined a gang to seek some kind of role model, and that's how I ended up in my life of crime. So therefore, don't do it, because these are things I felt, and this is the trauma I have as a result of it.
I just told them, I guess, about the consequences, and the video that I made that went viral, nearly like on 400k on YouTube now, was basically the story of how I got recruited as a Peckham boy, and it was very simple. Someone tried to rob me for my hat, and then someone knew, no, wait a minute, you can't rob him, that's so-and-so's brother. Oh, you're one of us. And from then on, became a Peckham boy.
So that sense of belonging, do you think that maybe young people are a little bit like, oh gosh, I'm kind of in this big wide world and I have no sense of belonging? So in finding one, if it means I've got to join a gang to find that sense of belonging, then so be it.
No, they were the cool kids. Like, I used to walk past them all the time, like, oh, how can I join them? And they're cool, how can I make conversation?
Is being bad cool then? Was being bad cool?
Being bad was cool. The Peckham boys had a reputation. The girls liked them. As I said earlier, in terms of that sometimes women also playing a role, that the girls liked the bad boys. So I remember walking past them all the time, wave, a few that know me. Then one of them who didn't know me tried to rob my hat. And they're like, what are you doing? That's his brother. Then from then on, we just started hanging around. Then they go out to start doing robberies, and especially like, oh, I'm not doing this.
So I suppose you felt a sense of belonging, protection, and again, I'm not saying women are as culpable when it comes to kind of encouraging young males to live a life of criminality, but I do hear it in some, like I said, some of the work that I do. Young girls saying, "Oh yeah, I heard he's got 2 phones. He's his own boss." Does it mean that on social media we're now saying, "Hold on, you can actually make a legit life from drug money, clean your money, because I'm seeing a lot of it. Like, yeah, I started off
rapping. Drug dealers
rapping.
that have just been furloughed. I'm not even joking. They've got grants back because they pay tax.
Oh my goodness. So yeah,
and I look at them and I think, you know what? You're actually smart because you're getting money back now. I mean,
but then all young people think they can do that. Everyone's like, do you know what? I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that, because I saw Blade Brown on Boxes 3 said he sold free and he can get this. So from young you have that incentive that, hold on, I don't need to go to college, I don't go to uni. I've not heard no one in uni say,
they need to realise that there's only, like I said again, out of 100 criminals, only maybe 1 or 2 have gone clear through their criminality and got away with it.
Yeah. And that needs to be obvious to young people. It's not obvious. You've got now people saying, actually, everything you hear in drill is not real, it's fake. And now you've got the kind of disclaimer at the start of videos, everything you see in this video, please do not, it's not real. Entertainment purposes. And you kind of sit and you're like, yeah, I know.
But then you grow up and you get to your 30s and then you realise that, wait,
but why should it take you getting to your 30s? There's a whole lot of people dying as a result. There's a whole lot of kind of, they call it delinquent youths who are there, unemployed, just there. There shouldn't, there needs to be that kind of middle point.
Until they said, what do they say? What's the saying about fire? You see the fire, they look, oh, that looks so hot, it looks exciting.
So you walk into it?
So you walk into it, then you get burned, and you're like, okay, cool. So that burning point is maybe being in prison, maybe being stabbed, or maybe something happened to you. And for me, it was prison. I was like, oh, mate.
Prison is a revolving door, though. Yeah. But that's the thing. Young people enter prison once. It starts off with young offenders. Every young offender, I suppose, if you look at statistics, you can research it. You are likely to re-offend.
Yeah.
It is literally a revolving door. It starts off with a pre-facility sometimes. You go to a young offender.
When you leave, they say, we'll see you soon.
Yeah.
That's what they say.
I think that sometimes young people, their role models and their idols and their elders are in prison, and they're like, oh, what should I do? They're looking for that kind of, that instruction, and that's why sometimes I raise the question of parenting. Is it the case that maybe we need more dads to do more active things? Because there's a whole theory on
what can a dad do when, at the end of the day, as a youth, I remember when I was a kid, I'm not with my dad when I'm going out to school, when I'm going out meeting all these little kids who's robbing mopeds and doing whatever they're doing, and I'm not with my dad. My dad don't know what I'm doing, how I act when I'm with my friends.
But you know what? It's also an excuse, because I had my parents at home, right? And you're right, they didn't know what I was doing. I'm like, I'm going to school now, cool, and then leave it. But a lot of times, parents can be more active in regards to where are you going, who are you going to be with, okay, I'm going to come and check that you're there. Where's the party? Give me the guy's number, I'm going to call the number.
That's exactly what
that's how it should be.
But then it comes time responsible, like parental responsibility. Like if you have children, you need to put that time there. Like my parents were quite fresh, so they wouldn't know what a rave or anything was, but my dad would drop me and pick me up. He didn't know what a rave was, but he's making sure he's picking me and dropping me off.
Yeah. So it's that kind of safeguarding element, and maybe do you think parents need to also be educated, whether it's by the schools to say, hold on, these are the signs to say that maybe your young person is kind of going through a bad...
Parents have just had kids and just...
If your kid's got WhatsApp, get him data and put on the WhatsApp location, live location. So you know exactly where they are at all times.
Is that a preventative measure then? Do we need to do more preventative measures for young people, or intervention?
It's either the parents put a tag or principal put a tag on them.
I think preventative comes before.
Yeah. Let's start one by one. Preventative or intervention?
Preventative, and that's because it comes before the intervention. If you prevent someone from doing anything, you won't ever have to intervene in anything else.
Okay.
Preventative.
Preventative?
Yeah, the same reasons.
Okay, I think intervention.
What do you mean? What's intervention?
Intervention in the sense that from schools, as part of the curriculum, you need to have one on real life. Let's be real. I've not used maths. I've not used algebra. I've hardly used. It is problem solving, but people don't understand that. Hold on, problem solving is actually transferable skills to do A, B, C, and D. Yeah. So intervention is required in the sense that you have some kids who kind of have all the tools and the mechanisms they need. They don't really need any intervention, but still mentoring should be offered as compulsory to young people who need it. We don't always share things with our parents, and sometimes a mentor, that outside party, can find things that your parents have missed and then sort of include intervention. Whereas if it's just preventative, it's like they don't really understand the reason for not doing something. It's just don't do it.
Don't give it.
You need to kind of build that understanding in young people, whether it's through mentoring, whether it's through discussion, whether it's through kind of the general culture and consensus of the school, that these things are no good. This is not necessarily a life to live. So I say intervention because I think that has more, I suppose it has more rewards than being preventative.
But intervention, that happens when something bad has really happened.
Yeah, but
if you stop
that's
it
when
from
you see the
happening
signs.
in the first
People
place,
are ignoring the signs is the issue. I think that there's red. It could be oh, I don't want to go to school anymore, I don't want to go. Something like that should be an indication.
You've got to let people make mistakes.
Yeah.
And you have to let people make mistakes.
They have to learn from it.
We say that, but the mistake could be murder, and there's no way back from there.
Yeah, fair enough. That's a tragic and very rare like case, really and truly. But every day we make mistakes, it helps us grow, innit?
And I think that can
choose
be
bad
prevented
friends,
through intervention.
partners, bad business plans, whatever it is. Do you see what I'm saying? You make the mistake and then you learn from it. If you just wrap up a baby and cotton wool all its life, do you know what I mean? It's going to have the weakest immune system and not going to be able to tolerate anything. That's going to be the same with our teenagers growing up. You just put them in this corner, put a blanket over them. You lot be safe. Don't worry about everybody else out here. They're not going to know anything. They're going to be timid, nervous, and basically no self-esteem.
Yeah. So do you think it needs to be
think
preventative or intervention?
Definitely intervention.
I'd have to say
So we're in agreement, I suppose. You'd say it's both.
Yeah.
And what do you think?
Yeah, I think it's prevention first, and then if it gets to the stage that it needs intervention, then you need to intervene. You can't just let it go on.
Like you're not going to let your kid hang around
with.
It's
an element of both.
Yeah, you're not going to let your kid hang around with those kids over there, and you know their parents are junkies. You're not going to let them go and play in the park with them and go to their house and play, and you know they're the local skagheads, they're the crackheads. That's preventative, yeah?
Preventative for what though?
Preventative because then your child is going to be safe from not seeing what's going on in that house, the swearing.
Are they going to be prevented from being a drug addict then, or is that just
being exposed to that culture of like whatever's going on in that house with crackheads, foil on the floor, whatever it is, criminals coming round, door might get kicked off by police or by robbers, whoever it is, they're not exposed to it, so you keep them away from that. That's preventative.
Yeah.
Okay.
That wraps up the discussion on whether youth culture is now violent. Get involved in terms of the comments, let us know what you think, get involved in Instagram.